What's good, Fight Family? Welcome back to the channel. So I'm going to be talking about Payton Talbott today. I know this kid is kind of in the talk of the town all week. I mean, aside from Alex Pereira and his knockout, I think this is genuinely like the most talked about thing from UFC 303. We don't even need to get to the canceled co-main event. Again, if you've watched my breakdown of that event, I feel like the whole time the UFC knew that Brian Ortega wasn't going to be fighting that weekend, and they kind of just dragged him along for the name value. I know they'll never admit that, because then they'd be admitting to putting Diego Lopez through some borderline criminal shit. But genuinely, that's what I believe. That's how I see it. So to me, the most hype thing from 303, aside from Alex Pereira's main event win, was Payton Talbott. Payton Talbott has shown himself to be one of the next like hot prospects in the UFC. And just because of his look and his personality, he's already been somebody that everybody has been eyeing. Combine an undefeated record with a little bit of personality in a fighting sport, and boom, you have magic. So this kid, he's only fought technically 4 times under the UFC banner. I only like to say 3 because I don't really count Contender Series matchups. I don't really count the Ultimate Fighter. I think it's much different once you're actually on a card in the cage. But to give him his credit, he still did fight another grown man in front of Dana White, and now he's done it 4 times. Every single one has looked good. Against Reyes Cortez, he got a unanimous decision win. He was doing backflips, he was being acrobatic, he was landing flashy striking. So a lot of people got an idea of, you know, what kind of athlete he was from that bout. Then we move on, we get to see his official debut against Nick Aguirre, who's like 7-1 grappling type of opponent. And this was at the very end of 2023. He ends up smoking Nick Aguirre. He was doing a lot better on the feet. Nick was just trying to chase the wrestling as much as possible, and he showed that even on the ground, he's a talent. You know, he gets the rear naked choke in the 3rd round, the very beginning. Then we get to see him against Cameron Simon. Now, to me, this was a matchup I didn't think he was going to be able to get done. I thought Cameron Simon was proven enough, and after Cameron's fight against C-Rod, I felt like he knew what he needed to do every time he came out here. But you know what? Styles make matchups, and some people just hit too fucking hard, because the whole first round of that fight was genuinely it was just a bad beatdown, man. Like, it was so bad that I think they should have stopped it like 2 different times in the first round. Cameron comes out in the second round, and Payton Talbott just blasts him with a straight hand, finishes him up with ground and pound in the second round. It was a really, really quick, easy victory for Cameron, and against somebody that I thought was going to be way too much, way too soon. So now he's 7-0 after that fight. He shows the world that he should probably be put on a pay-per-view. He should probably be hyped up. So Dana does exactly that. He places him on UFC 303, which was originally Conor McGregor's card. You can tell that he wanted to build a star. That was probably the main prelim personality Dana was trying to build up. And it still ends up working out. He takes on Giannis Gamori at 303, which took place this last weekend. Obviously, it wasn't the Conor McGregor card, so it's not the card that we were all hoping to be walking away from coming into July, right? But he takes on Giannis Gamori, who's 12-2. Despite the clean record, I've never thought Giannis was that impressive. And literally a couple flick jabs, 1 step in straight right hand. And yeah, Giannis is down. Clean knockout in the first round. Payton Talbott cashes in for me and probably a whole lot of other people on minus 1.5 rounds, which is just awesome. Now the kid's 8-0. He's on a 3-fight win streak in the UFC, 4 fights under the banner, whole lot of knockouts. He used to fight for Uriah Faber's A1 Combat. He was just absolutely smoking people out there. I think he became the champion at 135 pounds over in that promotion. Correct me if I'm wrong. But overall, the kid has just looked solid. And I think he's even, yeah, right. So he also had 4 amateur bouts, almost 5. And all 4 of his amateur bouts, he was perfect. So the kid just clearly is athletic. He has a knack for fighting, and he has some God-given power. Now let's talk about his career moving forward, because he is a bantamweight. Bantamweight is, in my opinion, the most stacked division if we're actually talking about talent, not just name value. Actual talent, actual people that can be potentially a challenger for the belt or just a champion. Yeah, dude, that's like the whole top 25. Most of those people are killers. Obviously not all of them, but so many of them could fill in a top 5 fight, and you wouldn't be able to tell a difference. You wouldn't even know that they weren't ranked fighters. Now, where do we see him lining up? Let me just first go into the UFC 135-pound rankings. Let's find out. I wish the UFC had all the top 25 and I didn't have to go onto some other website. So for the UFC's official rankings, obviously we've got Sean Marab, they're matched up. Corey Sandhagen at number 2. Corey Sandhagen at number 2? Above Peter Yan? When Yan has a win over him? Okay, well, that's not the point of the video. Peter Yan, number 3. Corey Sandhagen at number 2. Corey is obviously scheduled to fight Umar. Might be a fraud check. We never know. Peter Yan, I feel like him and Marlon Vera should fight, but I've been hearing that that fight is not going to be taking place. Henry Cejudo. I have been hearing rumors that Henry Cejudo and Song Yadong are going to be fighting at the Perth card. Or they might be trying to give Kai Asakura to Song Yadong, which I don't think makes as much sense. Man, bantamweight, it's honestly hard. Like, if Jose Aldo still wanted to fight, you could give Jose Aldo that fight. I think it's so disrespectful to do that. But Jose Aldo is a G, and I think that fight would be great. And I honestly think Jose Aldo would turn back Payton Talbot. Pedro Munoz opens up the top 15. Then we have John Martinez, Dominic Cruz, Mario Bautista. Mario Bautista, that's a sleeper fight, actually. Although Mario doesn't deserve it because he's been steadily climbing up the rankings, I would love to see Mario Bautista versus Payton Talbot. Rob Font versus Payton Talbot, I feel like is just a Payton Talbot smoke session waiting to happen. He wants to fight, I know he said he wanted to fight Adrian Yanez. Adrian Yanez isn't even in the top 15 anymore. So maybe that's not the move. Because I really do think this kid is top 15 ready already. Bantamweight, it doesn't even take too many fights. Like, you're 3-0 in the UFC, and you have finishes in those in those fights. Like, come on, let's just get you going. Realistically, Dominic Cruz isn't going to do it. I think the only real matchup here is Mario Bautista. In the future, I want to see Kyler Phillips versus this kid. Because Kyler Phillips has always been my prospect of the UFC. He's just not hyped as much as these other guys. And I get it. He's not coming out here and, knocking people out cold. But at the same time, Kyler Phillips is the Matrix, bro. Like, that kid is different. Honestly, Kyler Phillips, I get so much reminder of Kyler Phillips from Payton Talbot, because Payton Talbot reminded me of Kyler with the similar, like, style, just being a flashy striker, but then also just being so nonchalant. Kyler Phillips smiles a bit more and seems a little bit less soulless and not goth, and he doesn't pole dance and wear, colored nails. I'm not hating on the colored nails. The pole dancing is crazy. Hey, look, if he's whooping ass, he's whooping ass. At the same time, craziness. Overall, though, I feel like there's not really too many matchups to give him in the top 15 that make a lot of sense, unless you're going to go with Rob Font, unless you're going to go with Mario Bautista, unless you're going to try... I mean, Jonathan Martinez, we could do that, actually. That's not a bad fight. Pedro Munoz isn't a bad fight either if you really want to test the kid out. He has options here. That's the point. But overall, I'm just excited that we have a steady prospect rising that has a lot of hype behind him. It's been a minute. We had Khamzat. Khamzat's hype has died because he doesn't fight. We had Ian Gary. Ian Gary's a cuck and he's lame. Hype dead. MVP, we've all known about him. He's not like a prospect, but he was new in the UFC, and now his career, his title run, probably just been shot dead because of fucking Ian Cuckchado Gary. So, what do we have left? We have Shavkat. He's a beast, but like everyone is turning him down. It's just it's a difficult thing, this game sometimes. It's a difficult thing. I appreciate that we finally have somebody to pay attention to. But yeah, that's gonna be all for today's video, you guys. Let me know what you guys think about Payton Talbot down below. How far do you think he's gonna go in his career? Do you even think he's gonna be something? Do you think he's gonna get fraud checked immediately? Let me know. Who knows, man? That's what I love about this sport. Sometimes we really just don't know. But yeah. I'm tired of saying I don't know in this video, so I'm gonna catch y'all.